Hi, Yuri. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Meredith Holborn. I'm a technical account manager here at AWS, and I'm really excited to be talking with Yuri about some of the new features that we have in CUDOS. We've released 3 new versions in the last 2 months. We've got quite a few new additions. I didn't actually count the number of visuals, but I think it's somewhere in the ballpark of 15 to 20 brand new graphs and visuals and tables that we've added. But why don't you tell us a little bit more, Yuri, about what we can expect?
Yeah, as usual in Kudos, we release new visuals, new capabilities. FinOps never ends, and in these 3 releases over past 2 months, we um, made a lot of improvements to compute. We released added visuals for EC2 and databases elasticity. We also added visibility for storage and backup. We added the whole new analytics tab, and of course a lot of features for IEML related visuals. Let's jump into a demo, what's new we have, and we
Yeah.
start from Billing Summary tab, right? So Billing Summary, it's high-level visibility over your AWS cost and usage. And here you have visuals which show you invoice spend or unblended spend and amortized spend. And you have visibility by payer account, but what we released as a new feature is now you can switch to few more different dimensions, like for example, charge type group. And charge type group allows you to categorize your overall spend by like this categories like usage, usage covered by reserved instances and savings plans, some discounts which you may get, and also like marketplace spend, tax spend, and things like that. What is also important that if you want to, for example, exclude some of the usage type groups like tax, which is very frequent case when
Yes.
uh, FinOps teams want to actually exclude tax because it's not much you can optimize it. So that's pretty much what you can do with this new charge type group. And also we have this new dimension is service category. So it allows you to see in high level details how much your spend falls into, for example, compute, databases, IEML related services, or networking and other things.
Are these AWS categories that we are aware of already, or is this something different?
So we use for categorization terminology and service categories from focus specification. It's FinOps open cost and usage specification, which aim to help FinOps practitioners to to kind of normalize data across multiple cloud providers. And here, just to simplify things for FinOps practitioners in the future, we use terminology from focus here. So all these categories come from focus. We just map the AWS services to these categories, and they can say they map pretty nicely.
But I think this is going to be really useful, like you said, going forward, especially at standardizing some of the labels and the data that we use across cloud providers makes things easier for people who are in that FinOps role.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this charge type group also available in months over months trends. So you can, for example, you can see what you want to include or exclude when you compare months over months trends. But we have
Right.
some new control here, months over months comparison type. This is what was released recently.
Hmm.
And it allows you to switch from calendar months in comparison mode, let's say, to normalized months.
Hmm. W- When we say normalized month, in my head, a calendar month is a normal month. So what does normalized mean?
Yeah, when we compare months over months, we want to make sure that we compare apples to apples. Yeah, we compare some equal values. But in reality, is if you look at March and compare it in comparison to February, you have 10% more days. So obviously, your usage will be 10% more, or like can be 10% more, even if it doesn't change, if nothing has
Right.
changed, right? So by switching from calendar months to normalized months, you can see here how the situation will be different. So you kind of can see more precise trends. Yes. So what we do in normalized months, we take in daily average for every month, and we multiply it by amount of days in the previous month. So imagine that now every month has 31 days. Yes, so we basically normalize it to 31 because in March there were
Right.
31 days, and it allows you just to have a bit more accurate precision. Yeah, accurate.
Yeah, it's a really good point actually, because in my monthly business reviews with my customers, depending on what month it is, I do have to mention that little caveat of, this might look like it's jumped up a little bit, but actually it hasn't really. It's just that there's more time in the month this month than there was last month. So now I can use this normalized month and eliminate that whole side note for my customers and just
Yeah,
look at the raw usage. That's really
yeah.
helpful.
We have a lot of new things in Compute tab.
Yes, we do. One thing I've already used with my customers, if you don't mind, I chat about a little bit,
Absolutely.
the EC2 elasticity. So I am all about, I want to see at a quick glance something obvious in a chart, in a visual. So the month over month trends, I love the arrows. They're color coded. I easily zoom in and see the ones that are moving upwards and downwards. This visual does the same thing for me. If I look at that blue dot on the top line furthest to the right, I can say this is the account that has got EC2 instances running 100% of the time. And then I can click on that and see, how does this cost break down? And then maybe I can investigate the instance types. Maybe I could change the instance type, make it a bit smaller. I could save some money that way. Maybe I can introduce instance scheduling so that this doesn't need to be running all the time, right? We've got the recommendations right here for you. I think sometimes people miss some of these little recommendations in here. You just kind of scroll past them and look at the graphs. But I really encourage you to have a look because we give you some good tips.
Another interesting use case here is that if you want to focus only on the instances which running on demand, you can select on demand here. And even if it looks like pretty elastic, as you can see, there are still some instances which run 100% of the time. So
Right.
possibly, again, depending of the workload nature or environment nature, if it's dev test, so you could start and stop them during the time when you don't need them.
So we've added some changes to the Lambda visuals in here as well.
Yeah, we have here on Compute tab Lambda summary section, and to this section we added a visual which shows a breakdown of your Lambda spend per processor architecture. So because you can run Lambda functions on x86 based processors, or you can also now run them on Graviton 2 based processors. And Graviton usually provides better price performance. Considering, depending on the code which you have there, you can consider switching to Graviton 2 architectures if your runtime supports it. Also, with the new visuals which we adding to CUDOS, we started to add more of these drill downs. It allows you to have a bit of additional context. So follow these arrows to drill down into more operational insights.
Right.
And the last thing which we added to Compute tab is EKS extended support cost. I don't know, Meredith, as a technical account manager, did you have discussions with your customers about this already?
I have, yes. So I've been using this table to help my customers focus on the clusters that are having the biggest cost impact and prioritizing which ones they go ahead and get upgraded. And maybe there's a few smaller ones that they're okay to leave on extended support, but our main production ones, because we want to keep the versions current for security purposes and support across the community, right? So this visual introduction allows us to easily prioritize what clusters we should focus on.
Yeah, so obviously you can see here daily spend for AKS extended support, spend per account, and spend per cluster. Yes, so that's pretty much all you need to identify what you can, improve, which clusters you want to upgrade. And you can see accounts where you can see, okay, this is production cluster. Maybe we should, consider not running it on pretty old versions.
Right.
All right, storage and backup.
So the backup part is new. This used to just be the storage tab, right? So we've
Correct?
got some backup visuals in here now, specifically from the AWS backup service, but also from other services that provide a backup function within them.
Another request which we often heard from customers is they wanted to have consolidated view over their snapshots, backup, AWS backup related spend in one single place. So this is a place where we consolidated it all. For some SRE teams, it could be important, and some personas who take care about organizational backups. You can now have this holistic view, or you can focus on any service which you might be interested in. So, for example, let's see what is here, RDS, right? So now you can see the details per resource, per backup spend per cluster. And here in the table below, you can see the usage details, how many gigabytes of backup data you use and how much does it cost you.
Yeah, some really good insights. And you used one of my favorite words, Yuri, consolidate. When I talk to customers about CUDOS, one of the things I talk about a lot is the consolidation aspect. You're consolidating findings and data from lots of different services, but also from maybe multiple organizations. So you're just seeing it all in one place, which just alleviates some of that overhead of your time bouncing between tools. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really like to focus on that aspect of consolidation.
Yep, and QuickSight allows also to share the data with, share this visual, share the dashboard with many different personas. So to have
Right.
this view on this consolidated data, so it's amazing. All right, S3. So for S3, we have
Three.
this new section, S3 Insights Explorer.
So Insights Explorer, again, this is something I've used already in some investigations, and mostly to highlight to my customer that they are actually saving money by using S3 intelligent tiering.
Yeah, yeah, and you can, for example, switch to different insights, and you see this insights details actually can tell you what exactly we're showing here and what you can do to possibly optimize it. Yes, so like some use cases. And again, for intelligent tiering, there is intelligent tiering monitoring and automation fee. So you could see how much you are paying for that, for use of intelligent tiering as a feature. But then if you selected this bucket, you could see um, intelligent tiering in action, let's call it like that,
Yeah,
how it,
yeah.
with increasing amount of storage, it actually switching also the storage types for some data which was not accessed for, like, for example, 30 days and
Yeah, you
more.
can actually see the tiering through the data.
Yeah,
But the key thing I think is the usage going up and the cost going down, which is
yeah,
that, traditional golden rule that we're aiming for. Our usage going up, but our unit cost or our cost per going down.
yeah, exactly.
And
And
this highlights it right here for us. And it also proves to my customers that are not spending a lot of money on the actual monitoring and
yeah,
proves that they're not spending more on their storage.
yeah, and it's very nice pictures and to, to just share your impact as a FinOps team and, or engineering team who optimize the storage. So like it looks really nice. All right, let's move on to databases. We have a couple of new features here as well. And first is we added Amazon MemoryDB service into databases tab. So here we have visuals which show your spend and usage in different dimensions for databases services. So now all these visuals include Amazon MemoryDB, and you can also focus on it or focus on other databases as before.
And some more elasticity visuals for our databases in here too, right?
And actually, databases can be stopped when you don't need them as well, right? Not just EC2 instances. So
Yes.
services like RDS, DocumentDB, Neptune supports, stopping of the instances. So if you run databases in dev, test, staging accounts where you don't need them 24/7, you can actually stop them. And for example, instance scheduler solution supports RDS out of the box. So you can just tag your instances by using this solution. It will be stopping tagged instances based on the scheduler which you define. And RDS extended support.
Yes. So this is also new. So we've introduced some visuals around this. Help our customers prioritize where they should be spending their time on upgrades, right?
Yeah.
If it's costing you a lot of money and you have the resources, it might be something that you prioritize. You might be in a different situation and it might be something that you just need to absorb the cost for now. But again, having the visual data in front of you helps you make those business decisions about when to prioritize and when to action.
Yeah. If you run databases on like engine version like MySQL 5.7 or Postgres 11, not support which are not supported by community, it might be a good idea to upgrade them. Yeah, so and eliminate this extended support cost, which you will see that. But in any case, here we show you visibility. We provide the visibility to see your charges for extended support and exact database resource IDs and accounts where it belongs to.
Right. So prioritize your prod again.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Data transfer. Data transfer is always, some charges which customers leave behind, yeah, or like don't pay a lot of attention to.
Not one of the simplest billing mechanisms we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And the aim of data transfer and networking tab is actually help you to simplify it. Yeah.
Right.
And here we added a new data transfer type is NAT gateway data transfer process. First of all, you can now see which amount of NAT gateway data transfer charges is compared to other data transfer types. But also what is more important that now you will start seeing in top 15 resources you will start seeing NAT gateways more often because they includes also NAT gateway data process charges. And for example, NAT gateway data process charges, so you can see the amount here, and then region to internet charges, which is significantly less. In this case, if it's a huge difference, it means that some portion of your traffic actually goes not to internet, but it goes to AWS services such as S3, DynamoDB. And by placing VPC endpoints and routing traffic not through NAT gateway, but through VPC endpoint, would allow you to actually eliminate this cost of NAT gateway data transfer process. So, and
Potentially some good improvements from this sample data we have.
yes, absolutely. All right, AEML. We talked a lot at the beginning about new features of AEML, so let's cover it all in a bit more details. Here it's a control which allows you to focus on accelerated computing instances for SageMaker. So why it matters? Because customers usually want to now with increasing amount of workloads, which actually like for Gen AI and training of Gen AI models, accelerated computing instances used more and more often. So here you can actually focus on those instances because they have quite significant cost. Another new feature which we added to SageMaker is here ability to see your SageMaker machine learning instance hourly spent by purchase option. Just by seeing this graph, you can judge on how elastic you are. For example,
Right.
SageMaker notebooks can be stopped, right? So you do not need to run them 24/7 again. So here you can see how elastic you are every hour. But also you can see your hourly spent by purchase option. So for example, you can see, oh, I'm running SageMaker mostly on demand. So maybe I should consider covering this with machine learning savings plans, which can provide me quite significant discounts. Right, then Amazon Bedrock becomes more and more popular among the customers, and staying on top of cost is becomes a priority.
Mhm.
So here, together with the visuals which we already have, which we released before reInvent last year, we added a new capability to see your spend per this usage type group. It's like a bit higher level construct where it categorizes your Bedrock spend by, for example, image generation, input tokens, output tokens. So it allows you to kind of have a bit of more on the deeper understanding of how you're using Bedrock overall, right? If
Right.
you want, you can still drill down to usage type if you want with this arrow. And again, like look for these arrows. They usually allow you to drill down in something more operational.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the interactivity of the dashboards
yes,
is
yes,
always really, really useful, and play around with the dashboard and see
yeah,
what filters you can apply.
absolutely. And then you have also some, visuals which provide you visibility over spend per model. Yeah, and you can focus and see in which accounts you have this model, uh, also including the models which you purchase through marketplace, third-party models, right? So you
Oh,
have,
right. Okay.
again, consolidated view over your bedrock spend over Amazon and third-party models in one single place. And Amazon Q, right? New set of visuals for Amazon Q spend and usage. Here, again, you have some recommendations section here for relatively new services. It's important to explore them, and also some usage trends, some spend trends per account, per region, per operation, and also insights of your usage. For example, for Q index usage units or chunks of this 20K of documents. So you can see not just cost, but also usage patterns and details.
Yeah, I really like the custom visuals for the new services. It's not just the templated cost by region, cost by account. We introduce these very specific to the service breakdowns of the data to help you really digest what you're spending your money on in that service. Super
Yeah,
useful.
yeah. And we do that a lot. We kind of try to visualize what can push customers towards some optimization, opportunities. For example, here we are in Analytics tab where we released a bunch of visuals for Amazon QuickSight. And here we start with, like your amount of author users, your amount of reader users. So again, it allows you to see not just cost, but your usage patterns. Because in QuickSight, for example, authors are needed only when they make changes to the dashboards. If your users only consume the dashboards as is, you don't really need to have authors for every single.
And there's annual commitments for author licenses as well, which can further reduce your cost, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and here is exactly the visual which shows you like your author users, historical usage and cost, amount of authors by breakdown of your annual subscription authors and monthly subscription authors. Some interesting details, for example, for duplicating users. So in QuickSight, you can have a user with IAM authentication and also with SSO authentication. But in reality, in many cases, your users would use only one preferable method.
I could have used this visual a few months ago working with a customer who was testing things out and had duplicated their users because they set the same user in all three different groups in Identity Center. So they had all three roles as a single user. But using Cost Explorer to figure out what that cost increase was a lot more difficult than this visual that just displays for me. These users have duplicate accounts in these AWS accounts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So yeah, and for QuickSight, we have a bit more details about your total amount of Spice storage. So again, some information to, consider. Maybe you don't need that amount of Spice, or like just focus on the top account, log into that account, check if you have any available Spice storage, and free it up if it's not used.
Right.
I think that's all what we wanted to cover, right?
That's all. Just a few little things, few little updates. Yep.
Uh,
So if I summarize for us, Yuri, there's a few themes, right? We saw some AIML improvements, expanded visuals and data insights, some analytics. So track your CUDOS spend inside CUDOS if you want, if you're not using QuickSight for lots of other things. But then also some storage and backup and the elasticity, of course.
Correct. Yeah, and if you deploy CUDOS today, you have the latest version with all those features. If you have previous version, you can always update it, and we will provide a link with instructions how you can update in the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to hear your stories of optimization with Cloud Intelligence dashboards.